Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. So we're continuing the conversation from last week about Christmas lighting safety tips. In studio with us this morning is electrical power utility engineer Vivian Narine from T&TEC to make sure that we stay safe in this Christmas season. Good morning. How are you, Vivian?
Good morning. Good morning. Nice to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here with us again.
Vivian, last week after your leave, right? Natasha went and go home and fix all the lights, and take them off for the going together and things. So now that she's in a proper gear. So well done.
Thank you so much.
I thought so. Yeah.
Battery-operated lights for the wind, Trinidad and Tobago is something to consider. What do you think about battery-operated lights?
Well, as we discussed last week, what I think about battery-operated lights, I think it's viable in locations where you don't have an available outlet. When you have battery-operated lights, you need to think about how you're going to replace the batteries or charge the batteries, right? That's something you need to think about, because when the batteries run out, you either will have to charge it or replace it. That's something you need to think about, yeah. But battery-operated lights are a viable option. What you see people doing now are solar lights.
Yeah.
Solar lights are also viable.
Yeah.
However, in terms of the draw, the usage, or the demand for the lights in the night, it may not be able to sustain the entire
12 hours.
The entire 12 hours.
But you see, we also learned a fun fact where we should not be leaving our Christmas tree lights on overnight.
Anyway,
Yes.
so, but if it's solar powered, it's okay.
It's fine.
If it's solar powered, it is fine. But generally speaking, if you're dealing with anything electrical, right, lights in particular, we don't encourage to leave it on for the entire night.
All right.
All right.
I want to get into, I've been seeing all over the place now, and even I purchased some this year, LED lights, because normally Christmas lights, we tend to get the what do you call it? The incandescent ones, right?
Yes.
But I see lots of LED ones on sale
Yes.
now. Is the LED one, are the LED ones better?
Yes, so we actually encourage, not only for Christmas lights, for your general lighting at home, to transition from incandescent lights to LED lights.
Why is that?
What you find happening is that for incandescent lights, you would grow up knowing about 100 watt bulbs,
Right.
or 40 watt bulbs. You get the same amount of lighting from a LED light with 1/10 of the power, or 1/10 of the usage, right? So with Christmas lights in particular, one string of incandescent Christmas lights is about 40 watts, whereas one string of LED Christmas lights is about 5 watts, 4 to 5 watts, right? So the same power usage for 10 strings of LED lights will equate to about one string of incandescent lights. And then the manufacturer limitations now, that because of the size of the wiring on the lights, typical size of the wiring, they will limit the amount of lights you could put together, right? And it will also have limitations on your outlets as well, right? In terms of the capacity of your outlets.
So we can put more together on LED lights.
Yes, generally
Generally
manufacturers allow more. However, our guidelines, in the absence of the manufacturer recommendations, we limit 3, regardless of what
Which
type
one
of
you're
lights
using?
it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm glad that you said that, because the next question I was about to ask is, so how many can I put together? Because, outdoor decor is a thing. This is something we were talking about.
Yes.
Stringing together of lights.
So for instance, a porch, we see people lining lights around the porch.
Yeah.
It takes around 10 strings of lights.
Depends on the size of your porch, but I understand where you're going with that. Go ahead.
Depends on the size of the porch, yes. What we find happening is that when you use LED lighting, the actual draw of the lights are much lower than the incandescent lights. So for 10 strings of LED lights, you would use the same amount of usage as one string of incandescent lights. And then you have to look at where you're plugging in the lights. So if you're plugging it into an outlet where you already have appliances plugged into, right, then you will have a issue there in terms of practicality or capacity, right? So for instance, if you plug in the lights in your kitchen, right, because you don't have an available outlet in the gallery, you would have a air fryer or a kettle or a microwave in the kitchen. And what people typically do, they plug in multiple appliances into a strip into the same outlet. The draw for a kettle, for instance, just a kettle to heat up water to make tea, is about 1,000 watts, right? An outlet is rated for about 1,300 watts. So you just have about 300 watts
to play with
in terms of tolerance there.
So would you? I mean, first of all, do you recommend that adding a strip to anything in the kitchen at all?
Yes, it is advisable for electronic devices.
Okay.
I would advise that. But in the kitchen, what I would advise is to use a GFCI outlet, right? And plug your appliances direct into the wall with a GFCI outlet.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, would you still need a surge protector with the GFCI outlet?
No. So surge protectors generally for things like fridge, when you have
the
like
fridge and
the stove, sensitive electronics. We put surge protectors on that.
Right.
Some people have surge protectors on their inverter AC units. But with respect to areas where you have water, like the kitchen, like the bathroom, we recommend that you plug the appliance direct into the wall via GFCI outlet, because the surge protector may not have the GFCI capabilities.
Just stop it when water happens.
And what we want is it interrupted as quickly as possible.
Okay.
We don't want any delay in the interruption of the electricity supply in the event of energization.
Right, now talking about interruption of electricity supply, something we were speaking about is the point of entrance. This was quite interesting. Can you share a bit with us about that?
Right. So when you're working outside in the yard, or you're working around the building, and you're putting up lights on the outside, what you want to ensure that you stay clear of the commission's point of entrance. Many houses, they have a service connection that runs from the pole to the house, right? This is connected via a point of entrance. So we have 3 wires that is wrapped together that we call a triplex wire, right? It's made up of 2 hots and a neutral. It is connected to your cable, your main cable, and then it goes down to your meter base. A lot of instances, people have that on their house, on their dashboard, and then the cable runs along the wall and goes to the meter base on the building itself. When you're doing any form of decorating, any form of lighting, we ask that we employ a 15-foot rule. Stay 15 feet away. We don't want you to go within 15 feet. It is dangerous, right?
So 15 feet of your meter box.
15 feet of the meter base, 15 feet of the point of entrance, 15 feet of the service connection.
Okay.
In the event of an emergency, so for instance, if you have an event at home and you have to put up tents, in the event of an emergency, T&TEC will have to access these the meter base, the point of entrance, to do any sort of emergency repair to make the situation safe. We ask that you don't erect any tents or any structures under your point of entrance. Don't erect any tents or any structures under your service connection. And generally stay away from the meter base. You don't want to hang any decorations or inadvertently hit the meter, damage the meter, or anything like that.
Very important.
Yeah.
I learned something new. I mean, clearly every time you come to this set, I learn something new, and best practices are definitely coming from it. And I know everybody who's watching also is getting some best practices as well. I would hope so, at least, I think. I mean, I have to say the lighting definitely has brought a change to my house and to many people I know who are watching as well. So good morning to all of our viewers. Actually, one viewer I met over the weekend said, you know, that segment was really good.
Yes.
And I went and I got a surge protector. And great, happy for that as well.
Vivian, any closing words you want to leave with people before we wrap up this morning?
Well, what I would like to tell people is that safety is not only confined to the home, right? So what will happen over the Christmas season, you'll have those Santas going out on the trucks, right? Be wary of the heights of the trucks. You don't want to stand on top the music trucks. You don't want to be raising any electricity wires or any cables whatsoever. If you're out there and you're distributing gifts and you encounter any problems, call 800 T&TEC, 800 bulb. T&TEC crews are always available to respond to emergencies.
Are they available to also come with the truck? If, for example, the truck going into areas where they know they have low-lying
so
lines and stuff?
Generally, if the truck is about 15 feet in height, or any vessel, there's a process where you request piloting from T&TEC.
Right.
This request has to be made beforehand, and there's a cost involved.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, Vivian, thank you so much for joining us again this morning and for sharing some more safety tips as we get into the Christmas season. I'm sure you can come back and share some as we talk about we get into Carnival as well, because you know we're going to need some more safety tips on that regard. But thank you so much for joining us this morning. Vivian Narine, Electrical Power Utility Engineer at Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission, joining us this morning to give some Christmas lighting safety tips. We take a quick break and we come back with the TTPS on now.